Our next section, just a short one on web development. I won't bore you too much with it, but it is a necessary part of what we do. I just want to start with some retro site awards, just to sort of illustrate what a bad website and a good website can look like. This one, interestingly enough, was a Feng Shui interior designer's website, which I love the irony of that. And that's just another one that takes you back to 1996. But yeah, so it does. Who you partner with does matter. We'll leave this this video for now, but it's basically, you can watch it in your own time. It's what Google is saying about old versus new websites. And quite recently, Google has said that old websites, they are going to be looking down upon a little bit in terms of your rankings. And the main reason for that is to do with user engagement. So things like bad user experience, small text, hard to read, clunky design, old out-of-date technology that doesn't show properly on phones like Flash and things like that. Yeah, so it's not penalising you so much for having the old website, but just if it's not contributing to user experience, you're getting a lot of bounce rates, it can negatively affect your rankings quite a bit. Just some of the buzzwords in our industry. We'll talk about it in a bit more detail. Coding language, framework, open source, jQuery, custom development design, scoping, C2As, CMS, PMS, templates and themes, e-commerce, m-commerce, f-commerce, microsites, and email marketing. So we'll just cover some of those in a bit of detail. So the programming language, in a nutshell, is what your website is written in. If you look at behind the scenes, a website's built up of just lines and lines and lines of code, thousands, hundreds of thousands. Whether that's written in PHP, ASP, .NET, just straight HTML, that's just the language of the website. So that can affect a few things. Dynamic content is usually things that update dynamically from the server, so like a news article listing, something like that, versus static content, which is just a page with some text on it. The framework is what the site itself is built on, so that could be an open source framework like WordPress. It could be a custom framework we have our own framework called EASF, and some other developers have their own framework as well. And there's disadvantages and advantages to both, which we'll cover in some detail. Backend typically refers to the admin section of the website. So if you have a content management CMS website, you typically can log into a backend area and you can make some changes to the website or do some stuff yourselves. And typically, this is what a backend of a website can look like. Some icons. Content management system, as I mentioned, refers to areas of content that you can manage yourself. So it could be full pages, it could be specific areas like news article listings or a blog, or it can sometimes be customized quite heavily within that framework. Product management differs slightly from a CMS in that it's for managing specific products. You've obviously got product-related functions attached to that, like purchasing, e-commerce, online payments, product categories, product listing, images, things like that. So that's a step up from the standard sort of CMS website. What is full CMS access? So these are just some questions that we get asked quite a lot. So what is full CMS access? It just means that you can pretty much add pages to your website, although it doesn't necessarily mean that, but you've got free control over content on the page. You can just type and update it and do everything yourself. A theme design is something that you probably notice a lot more these days. Sometimes it can be a more cost-effective alternative to use a website theme rather than getting a completely custom design. And what that is that there will be a few theme options to choose from. You can usually change colours, logos, customize it a bit. Whereas the full custom design option is really starting completely from the ground up and designing the look and feel and applying that to a framework. Just a quick example of custom design. It does give you a bit more flexibility to tailor things. We talked about conversion-oriented design, so that really comes into it. In terms of call to action or C2As, things like that, you've got full flexibility over what you can do. Yeah, so conversion optimization, conversion-oriented design. It's all about getting people to the content they want quickly and easily, lowering the bounce rate, improving the time on the site and the engagement with the site, and just generally giving a better user experience. The goal might be to fill out a contact form at the end of that. It might be to call you. It can differ depending on your requirements for the site. Yeah, just some of the tips for conversion optimization that we talk about. So clear call to action items, prominent buttons, visual cues, things like that. We generally design for eye movement, even like there's like the best place to place a button, things like that. You can go as far as what's called A/B testing, which is actually having two small variations of a button or a page or a form and seeing which one converts the best. Studies they've done sometimes find that even changing the colour of a button can actually change the conversion rate of something. There was a food website I was looking at, and changing the little picture from a cake to something healthy actually increased the conversion rate of the form by about 30%. So just sometimes things like that you don't know until you try. So it's very interesting, that side of it. So open source, so this refers to the framework the site is built on. And as I mentioned, you can have an open source or a custom solution framework. Open source can sometimes be a cheaper entry point to developing a website. As Christina said, you can actually go and buy a WordPress template yourself and build your own website if that's what you want. Or you can do something custom, but the results you're going to get are going to depend on a lot of factors. There are some advantages and disadvantages, like open source is usually more open to being hacked because the code is widely available to everyone. It sometimes is a bit less flexible, a bit more flexible depending on what you're trying to do with it, and whether it meets the requirements of the organisation, whether it can connect to your other internal systems, things like that. You may have some limitations there. So that's a brochure that's in your pack, but just things to consider, I guess. And there's just a couple of articles in here about some of the major hack attempts that have been on open source frameworks. So WordPress, Drupal, Joomla are probably some of the bigger ones that you may have heard of. They're typically targeted by hackers because a lot of websites are built on that, and if they can find one security hole, they can get into a lot of websites, steal people's credit card information, just general sort of malicious badness times as well. So it really depends. And web development is much more than just websites, and that's really just what this slide is talking about. So you can have custom solutions for CRM, which is customer relationship management, client relationship management, custom intranets, work tracking systems, job tracking systems, project management, audits, asset tracking. I mean, the list goes on, but basically, in a nutshell, a web application can often be developed to customize things for your business and usually make things more efficient and easy for you. If you're using an Excel spreadsheet for something that you sort of want to move on from, chances are a web application can be developed to make life easier and be more accessible for you as well. I'll just spend a little bit of time on this because it's a product offering that we've just released to the market. We've actually come out with our own CRM system, which we're actually offering free licenses to our clients at the moment. So just some interesting tools there and things we're doing to grow. Any questions on that one? Okay. And that's just it.
Cool. Just wanted to quickly cover micro websites because we asked a lot of questions about microsites. So I've got a few examples on the front slide here about microsites. So basically what it is it's a mini website focused on a particular area of your business, or it could be a geographical location. There's many different ways of doing it. So in this particular case here, Our client, New Smile Dental, they've got their main website there, and they've got a microsite for different aspects of their business, so dental implants, teeth whitening, whatever it is. We also did one for All on 4, which is a type of dental implant surgery.
So those microsites have different URLs?
Yes. Yeah. Good question. Yeah. You can do some sort of subdomain ones. So we've got a client called Ambience Air Conditioning, and they have separate microsites for their stores on a subdomain. So there's different ways of doing it, but it depends on the purpose and what you're trying to achieve with the microsite. So how microsites really work is you've got your main website, and then you may have it, linking back and forth reciprocally to different microsites. So you may be the dentist and you have dental implants, teeth whitening, all on 4, with different aspects of your business. Or it might be like us, we've got national EXA website, and we've got EXA Perth, EXA Sydney, and then national, international sites. So it might be like that, it depends on the organisation. Sometimes people will do a microsite that isn't directly connected to their main website because they want to try something out. So it might be a new product or service that they don't want directly related back to their business. We do find that microsites have worked very well in competitive industries. Some of the industries where it may not work as well is there's no real need. If there's no need for a microsite, and that's where we turn to Google, and what Google really talks about with microsites is there needs to be a need. It needs to be a reason for it to exist, and it needs to have good content and good direction. And it needs to offer your users what they want to see and what they want to use. So some of the benefits of a microsite is it's quite simple, so quite easy to develop, get it out there in the market. You can highlight a particular element of your business and really emphasise that element of your business. For example, we have some clients that, like I mentioned earlier, might have mining clients, residential clients, all different markets, so they might have a microsite for a particular element of their market because it has completely different imagery. Even if it's the same product but it has different uses, they've got different images of the mining industry, they've got different language, people refer to it in a different way. For example, one of my clients was talking to us about water tanks, so it's the same tank that they're using, but there's obviously different sizes, different connections, different purposes for the water tank. So the other thing is, as I mentioned, you might want to market a side venture without connection back to your business. You can have localised content. So for us, the reason that we developed the microsite exaperth.com.au was because it was very difficult for us to get rankings in Perth for online marketing, because we had this national website that's focusing on the whole of Australia, and we've got offices in every city, so it just wasn't really targeted to Perth. And we didn't have a Perth-specific presence. People are very east and western states orientated, so they don't want to go to a website and see all of this stuff about Melbourne and Sydney and then have to hunt for something about Perth. Whereas when they come to our Perth microsite, they see Perth clients, they see Perth content. Even the way that we talk about things is a little bit differently here than it is in Sydney and Melbourne. The other thing is to be found, some of our highly competitive industries, there's no way that they're going to rank. There's no way they're going to rank for the keywords they want to rank for without a separate microsite. We found that specifically with cosmetic surgery, finance, dentistry, real estate, even some of the really competitive terms. Or if you're the type of company that has so much going on, you've got so many different divisions, you can't tell Google that your website is about so many different things and hope to rank for them all. That's generally when it's really useful, so we don't recommend it to everyone, and it's really a case-by-case scenario depending on what you want to achieve and what sort of keywords you're focused on. And the other thing is, you need to make sure, like I said, there's a purpose for the microsite, it's integrated well with your business, and you've got to be very careful how you develop the microsite. If you develop something that looks too similar to your main site, has any duplicate content, you basically poison your whole network, and there's no point in doing it. So you've got to be very careful how you actually do the microsite. And Google is strict on them, so a lot of people tend to think it's probably a bad thing to have a microsite, but it depends on the scenario, and Google does have some knowledge on that. So, are microsites good for SEO? Yes and no, depending on why you're doing it. So it's not good if you create a microsite because your main site is crap and doesn't rank very well, and you're trying to create microsites just to rank, because you really should have your main website ranking quite well as sort of the mothership for all your microsites. It's a good idea where you're targeting quite a different audience or niche. So Google will look at it and think, well, this has got different imagery, it's a different website to the main site, there's actually a purpose for this to exist, so it's good. And the goal is you want to create content to decide that users want to interact with you, want to engage with that website, even click through to your main website and track the traffic there. And you want to create people that a microsite that people actually want to use and share as well. So this is directly from Google. There's 2 videos that you can watch which supports what I've just said in the previous slides. Basically, Google says, is it okay to link 2 separate sites? Yes, the main drawback is you've got 2 sites to maintain. So their basic thing is if you're going to do it well. You can't just have your main website and then have this forgotten about microsite that doesn't have up-to-date content. It's not linked properly, and there's no point having a microsite if you've got no quality content. So there is, like I said, a place for a microsite, but it depends on the industry. This is an example of 2 of our clients in really competitive industries and how they're ranking. So if you Google breast implants Perth, you've got all of your ads there. This is our client's main website, and then this is a microsite. So it was actually much harder for them to get top rankings for their main website. They've still got a ranking on page 1, but their microsite is ranked number 1. So it's just one of the ways to really help with a competitive search. And dental implants Perth as well. You can see the same scenario. The main websites are down here, but the microsite is right at the top there. So what it in effect gave them is a more competitive position in Google, and also gave them 2 spots in Google, so not just their main site, but also their micro. Any questions? Cool. So at the back of your slide, you'll find a few case studies. So if you're interested in, how this works in the real market, there's videos you can watch in your own time. So I'm not going to go through any of them, but it just really talks about sort of the benefits you can get from online marketing for different industries. So I've tried to choose a few case studies from different industries. So industries that want to grow, small business, sales generation, comparisons between different sources in the company, retail, and even government, competitive microsites. There's a lot of examples in there, so whatever appeals to you, there's some examples for you to go through in your own time. Even multilingual sites. So for this particular company, we created a microsite in Chinese, and that was really focused on the Chinese market and obviously optimised through different search engines. So you can also optimise overseas as well. Cool. Now we'll move on to if you want any more case studies, by the way, you can go to our main Exeter website where everything is, or you can go to experth.com.au. And if you want to keep in touch, these are some of our favourite websites for getting these articles and information from. And if you want to contact myself or Mark, our emails are there, and this is all of our social media. We do have a competition, so Madison at the back is monitoring likes to our Facebook page, and we're going to announce a prize in the next section for social media. So if you haven't already, grab out your phone, you can scan this QR code or just like us on Facebook by searching Exeter. Cool, so we'll get on to the next slide.